This tutorial is about how to write an effective job application. I've got 5 tips for you that I've drawn from my experience of reading literally hundreds of job applications. Number 1, make it relevant. Number 2, match your skills and experience to the job description. Number 3, use solid examples. Number 4, don't worry too much about meeting every single point on the job description, but do look for development opportunities. And number 5, creativity is great, exaggeration is another thing entirely, and lying is an outright no. So let's go back to the top and break down each of those tips. So the first one, make it relevant. If I've got a stack of applications to shortlist, I can guarantee you that I'm not going to read every single word of every application. I'm going to skim them and make a quick judgment about whether or not the candidate meets the essential criteria that I've set out. What you need, therefore, is some structure in your application. That will also indicate that you can organise, prioritise and communicate effectively. 3 fairly key attributes for most jobs. Put yourself in my shoes. I've got maybe 50 applications to sift, maybe more. What you need to do is make my job easy and compel me to read your application. Use subheadings to draw my eye in, bullet points to summarise. Target what you say. And above all, stick to any word or page lengths that you've been set. Overly short or overly long applications won't grab my attention. Number 2, match your skills and experience to the job description. This is really building on that first point, and it sounds obvious, but many people fail to focus and target their applications. Sometimes it's possible that people have been writing a lot of applications, so they're just copying, pasting. And perhaps they're burning to tell you about a particular piece of experience or skill. But ask yourself, is it really relevant to the person's specification? And if the answer is no, leave it out. One really easy way to make sure that you've matched your skills and experience is to go through the application and make a quick note next to each required skill or experience level, and just put a little note of how you meet that requirement. For example, if the job is requiring experience in team leadership, it might be that you've been responsible for leading a team previously, and so you can tick that off with a little note to say what you did. That will really help you with the next tip, which is to use solid examples. Anyone, and I've seen this a million times, can say, I can do this, I've got this experience. So for example, it might be a glib statement such as, I am a great timekeeper. We can all make those kind of claims. Give me an example so I can understand how your experience is relevant. In this case, I am a great timekeeper would become, my current role requires me to be a great timekeeper, as I'm responsible for scheduling our deliveries and I have never missed a slot. The other element to this is that when you're using these examples, focus on what you did. It might be that you worked as part of a team and you're referring to that wider piece of team working, but it's your role in that team the person doing the selection will be interested in. So make sure that if you're referring to a team action, you draw out exactly what you did. Tip 4 is be creative and look for development. If you're applying for a new job, it's probably a step up. It's probably a bit of a stretch. And that's fine. That's a good thing. Because I can tell you now, it is rare to find the perfect candidate. Mostly I'm compromising on something. Perhaps I'll be choosing somebody with a particular skill, but not a different skill. Perhaps I'm looking for somebody with experience in one area, knowing that they will have less experience in another area. That's my job, to decide who will be the best fit. And it's the job of the interview to drill that down further and find out who is the person with the right personality to fit with the team and culture. Often that's more important because you can learn new skills and you can gain experience. But what I would like to know is, how do you think that your transferable skills meet the experience I'm looking for? Perhaps you're a student going for your first job, and you can tell me how you've managed your time and your priorities by delivering all your assignments on time. It might be that you've been in a voluntary role and you've managed budgets and finances for your local scout group. I'm also looking for people who are willing, as I say, to learn more. So maybe there's a particular area that you would like to take a course in, or you're planning to, or there's some mentoring opportunities that you'd like to take advantage of. If you haven't got a particular skill, think creatively about how you can meet that with experience from other areas, but also how you might close that development gap. A willingness to learn is a great attribute in a candidate. Tip 5. I've just spoken about creativity, and creativity is great, but do be careful about what you're saying, that you're not going to exaggerate, and definitely don't lie. Now again, this seems really obvious, but I have seen applications and been in interviews where candidates have tried to pass off other people's work as their own. In fact, it happens quite a lot, and it's usually pretty obvious because people at interview can't answer questions properly about the work. In fact, I once even read an application where a candidate had actually used one of my projects as an example of their own experience. So make sure whatever experience you refer to as yours. And as I said before, if it's a team piece of experience that you want to refer to, that's fine, but say what you did. It might be that you do want to fill a gap around experience that you've seen somebody else deliver, and that's fine if it's something that you've seen and want to emulate, but just be honest about that when you write about it. Write that you've learned from your observations and what you would do. That's fine because that's showing how you've learned from your experience. I hope those tips have helped you. Best of luck in your job search.